This is Inside LAFC podcast. Great to see you. I am Max Bretos. Great show coming your way. My co-host Stephen Beita will join me in a couple minutes. We'll give you all the positives to take away from the scoreless tie against Sporting Kansas City and get you ready for Minnesota United. We'll also go back in the time capsule for a episode of Black and Gold Rewind. You'll stick around for that. Also stick around as we will be joined by El Profe. Eduard Atuesta, the first LAFC player to return to the club. He'll talk about that, how excited he's to be back with LAFC in Los Angeles. And also, he is going to reach a very important plateau over the weekend. We'll let you know what that is all about. Inside LAFC podcast starts right now. Love that music. We're back here on Inside LAFC podcast, and you know who else is back? Beita's back. Stephen Beita Shore. Hello, Beita.
Got a good ring to it. I like that. Beita's back.
Beita's back.
Thanks for having me back.
We're trying to have catchy little elements within that we can sponsor at one point. And Beita's back. You'll become a big star. You'll forget about all the little people that you met along the way, and you'll just move on and cash in your checks. Just kidding. Maybe. You never know.
I love it. Well, it's good to be here. Good to see you as always. Hopefully soon in person. You know, it's always good seeing you, even though it's over the computer and over air. But it's always good to see you. Yeah, appreciate it.
We got to get that. We got to give you a little tour about, coming back to BMO and checking out. You'll recognize a lot of people. They obviously all remember you. So we'll put that in the works. And I also want to say, coming up in a little bit, we'll have the latest installment of Black and Gold Rewind. That's got a good ring to it.
It does. I like it. That sounds good.
All right. We will be talking about a famous day back in October 2019 when Carlos Vela broke the record. But we will begin, Beita, with what we saw on Saturday. LAFC back at home to take on Sporting Kansas City. This was a game I'm sure that couldn't come soon enough after the snowstorm, which we won't talk about, in Salt Lake. And eager to see how they could play in a normal circumstance, in relative. Still wintry months here in LA, but very nice track. And 0-0, which, not people are going to do backflips about, but I think we agree this was while it is not the result people would have wanted, I think, there's still a lot of things in this performance that say LAFC are going to get better, and we'll break down some of the things that we thought stood out that would reinforce that. But also the fact that this was a game that probably should have had a goal or two or three.
Yeah, it definitely was an exciting 0-0 game. I don't think that score line does it just. It was very open, a lot of chances both ways. Even for Kansas City, they had a few chances, and Lloris came up huge on separate occasions. But yeah, it was that's how LAFC. That's how they play. It's going to go back and forth. There's going to be a lot of chances created, a lot of shots. And then on another day, that score line could be 3-4 to 1 or 2. So, it is what it is, but definitely exciting.
LAFC had an expected goal close to 2, which tells you that they had some good chances. They were supposed to score 2 goals. There it is. Before we get into that, because the second half was much better, I think that's where they got the chances. Let's look what happened in the first half. And there were some times where we saw LAFC get stretched a bit. What did you see? I think it's that certainly in the transition as LAFC were looking to counter a fair bit, that is certainly, as there's homework to do for Steve Cherundolo, and he'll probably be the first to say that's kind of, I think we could agree, near the top of the list.
Yeah. I think at moments LAFC, when they're in possession, they get a little bit spread out, and Kansas City was able to transition nicely. And anytime you're going against Johnny Russell on that flank, he's very difficult. In a few moments, he was able to cut in and put a couple shots, and thankfully, Lloris is there on different occasions, or they just missed by a little bit. But that's just what you're going to get when you have this fast-paced, opened-up game of football the way LAFC does. Is you're going to have moments of transition, and guys are going to scramble. And from the time when I was there, it was about putting out those fires. You're not necessarily just worried about your own job. you're kind of doing one and a half jobs. You kind of just go scramble somewhere else, put out the fire, and hopefully nothing comes from it. So there were moments where LAFC did that against Kansas City, and then there was other moments where you saw a little bit of talent from Russell or Rodriguez, and they got some good chances off of it. But again, Ruiz came up huge.
There was some nice. There was a lot of activity in those wide areas, which is right up your alleyway, Beita. When you see where these teams are going, and when they go, and certainly LAFC, they would push, and Denny Bouanga certainly offensively was getting better, and we'll talk about in the second half. But the wide areas were, and I think there was on the right side of Sporting Kansas City, one of the graphs I saw, they were pushing up there a fair bit.
Yeah, they definitely overloaded on the flanks. But sometimes that's the way. If you're going to counter and transition, that's kind of could be your Achilles heel. But again, the way you want to play and you throw numbers forward and you kind of spread out in possession, it's going to happen. And that's why the midfield trio is so key in the success for LAFC. It's like you got to take care of the ball. You got to be precise with your passes, no careless turnovers, because you don't want to do too many transition moments, because over the phase of 90 minutes, the fatigue kicks in, and then you're not as sharp. And so I thought overall LAFC did pretty good handling those situations. But again, you want to minimize them if you can.
And just talking overall about the lineup, it was the same 11 we've seen all season. And I imagine foreseeable future, not using a lot of subs. And I think that is something we'll see more of as the roster gets filled out. And certainly it could get sooner, maybe in the summertime, but that is certainly going to happen. I was optimistic about some things, Beita. And, Hugo Lloris, he comes in here, some people roll their eyes and would say, here we go again. Some guy who's just going to wrap up his career in MLS and see it off, coming whatever they want to say. And yeah, he's 37, and there's a lot of mileage on that Lloris car. That what is it, Citroën? Those are nice vehicles. That's Citroën, Peugeot.
Yes,
I'll move on. But so far, and we don't know how he holds up in the long standing, but he's already had some interesting things thrown at him with what happened at Salt Lake. So he's getting the MLS experience at full tilt.
Yeah.
There's just something about him that says, I think this could work out in the big picture, because I don't see him extending himself aerobically, or there's something about his body of work that's helping him. I'll give you an example. When these balls come off these guys' feet, he doesn't react until the ball comes off the guy's foot. Is that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes you see these goalkeepers anticipating. He sits there, the ball comes off, and I guess it's every goalkeeper could do it, but they don't. But I think he's just he has the headspace there where he kind of can take a little shortcut there in order to find out or anticipate where the ball's going.
Yeah. Again, goalkeepers tend to play longer than field players. I think 37 for a field player probably sounds at the very limit, but you've seen goalkeepers go 40, 41, 42. And so they're not running around as much. I know they're diving around, so I don't want to say it's not as taxing, because they probably go home with some good bruises on the hips and the shoulders and arms. But, I feel like he looks really good. He looks very, for lack of better terms, cat-like with his reflexes. And that save against Memo Rodriguez in the 82nd minute, that's a world-class save right there. It's not in the mid-range, it's not high, it's so low right by that post, not only to make the save but not go crashing into that. I was really impressed with that save.
Beita, safe to say 37-year-old goalkeepers don't want to go to the ground in the 82nd minute to make a save, and he did it.
And he made it look fairly easy. Yeah, I've seen other goalies just crash into that post, and he made the save and he dodged the post. That was impressive.
You don't resent goalkeepers because they get an extra 5 years in their career, but it's true, Beita. I mean, what's going on?
No, I love
living.
I have great relationship with my goalkeepers. As a defender, you have to have that relationship, trust them behind you, and being on the same page. And again, most of the team is familiar, but the back line, for the most part, besides Campos, is the same. And so once he gets familiar with them, you'll see that he's a world-class goalie, and they're only going to get better and better.
LAFC or otherwise, was there a goalkeeper that you played with that you were just in sync with a lot, and you kind of had that communication, and you knew what he was doing, you felt super, super confident with that guy?
Uh, I've been fortunate. I've played with some good goalies. I want to say David Alsted when I was in Vancouver. He was
Nice.
very just like, this is what I expect. I don't care if you give up a shot, just take away part of the goal for me. And an example would be as a right back, when wingers want to cut in, a lot of times as outside backs, you're going to try to block the shot for those curlers to the far post. But by doing that, you're exposing the cut back through the legs into the near post. So here's a perfect example. He would say, let him shoot far post. I'm going to cheat it a little bit. Don't let him go through your legs. Just make sure he doesn't cut that through your legs, and then we're both just done. And after that, I've kind of asked other goalies, you don't get a distinct, no, do this. Like, let them shoot. As a defender, you're like, what? I can't let him shoot. But it worked, man. We had a ton of clean sheets. Jordan Harvey was there as well. We had a ton of clean sheets those 2 years I was there. And it was just that familiarity with your goalkeeper and defender. It worked well. Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to Hugo Lloris. I'm going to ask him that question too about what's allowed, because I think that's really interesting, because you can't cover everything.
No,
you can't. I mean, there's
and you want to make it play, you want to block it, but if you do that, sometimes there's cheeky wingers out there. I'm pretty sure Boanga has done it a few times. He'll go through the legs, and then keeper has no chance. So it's interesting. Ask him.
So 6 saves for Hugo, and he got the clean sheet. So that's a big positive. Clean sheets will get you places, and obviously he's a big part in preserving that, because we said LAFC should have scored. 6 saves suggests that Sporting Kansas City could have maybe scored or got a game winner. Your former teammate, Edward Atuesta, full 90 minutes, seeing everything in the toolbox. It's getting closer. He dropped back to the 6. He played some 8. Let's go back first when you talk about Atuesta, when you saw him first and what he could do, and maybe transition to what you've seen him do in particular against the Sporting Kansas City game.
Yeah, Profe. He's come a long way. He was so good when I was there in 18 and 19, but he was still raw. You could tell he's still young. And he took everything he learned at LAFC. He went overseas for a little bit or to Palmeiras and kind of honed in on his skill and his confidence, and came back mature. And I've been impressed. It's obviously only been 3 games, but there was a few plays against Kansas City where I'm used to Edward kind of slicing and dicing and breaking lines on the ground with his passing ability. But there was a few just perfect touch right over the top, like on the player's stride, whether it was Boanga or Bogush, just perfectly in stride. And those are tough. Those are tough to get them over the defender and land without overhitting it. And per usual, his defensive responsibilities are tremendous. Like, this guy covers so much ground. It doesn't matter where it is. He's always defending on his front foot, trying to go, whether it's to outside backs, whether it's to 6, whether it's to their midfielders. I mean, he's constantly just all over the place. And it's fun to watch. It's good. He has this calmness about the way he plays. And it's exciting to see him back here.
You haven't played with him, but just looking at him now and playing at Palmeiras, and I've told this to people, he played at Palmeiras. Palmeiras is not just the best team in Brazil. They're the best team in South America over the last 6-7 years. The best. And there's no argument. They're producing great players. They're winning trophies and making finals all the time.
Yeah.
You said those passes over the top. Does he look the better player after not only the LAFC years, but getting older and that Palmeiras experience?
Yeah, I just feel like he's more confident and he looks more mature the way he's playing. Again, he was young. He was a young player the first year in 2018. There was moments where Bob would just lose his head with some of the things that he was doing, not because he wasn't talented, just decision making. And you can see that it's ingrained in the way he plays now. There's a calmness and maturity to him with all the same skill. So it's really fun to watch.
So everyone was excited about returning, even more excited the way he's played. And look, I don't think anyone expected him to start the first game. He did start the second, and now going the distance in the third. So very positive sign.
Yeah.
One more positive sign, Beita, and that was El Nino. I'm going to see if that nickname catches on. I'm going to ask him and see if he's okay. El Nino David Martinez. because you and Beita, you and Harvey got El Profe, and now Atuesta loves it. He called himself El Profe.
Does he? That's cool.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure Harvey gave him that name, if I'm not mistaken.
he did.
I'm pretty sure.
I spoke to Atuesta. He said yes, he gave it, and he goes, "I'm
Yeah.
El Profe," because they asked him, "What's your nickname?" He goes, "El Profe."
Yeah.
So he is owning it.
That's it. I love it. That's great.
So we'll see about Martinez.
We'll see if El Nino sticks.
We'll see if El Nino, maybe not, but everyone's excited about him. You know, they've seen what this guy does. The YouTube reels are off the charts. The games, the Olympic qualifiers, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see, even for a kid his age, 17 is 18, and he's confident. I don't know if being so far from home, we're always going to do that, but looking at what he did in a very small sample size, where do you see, where would you see he is right now as a young player?
Well, the good, he played for 10 minutes and had 2 very good chances. Speed for days. Like, wow, that the first clip where he opened up, I'm like, is Rodriguez, like, is he gassed where he's not running? I know Rodriguez is the fastest, but man, he made Rodriguez look slow.
He was trying to grab him.
flew by. So first thing, he's got some serious speed. But now you're going to talk about things where you can improve. And I look on the defensive end. His positioning, when he gets onto the right winger spot as an LAFC former player, we like to defend on the front foot. And there were moments where I think it was Bouanga was as the 9, and he went to press, and Martinez kind of dropped too far back. He was worried about that far winger where it's like you don't have to worry about that. Defend on the front foot, and I think you kind of eliminate all of that behind you, and he'll get there. Look, this is his first game, and so over time he'll get that. He'll get more comfortable the way LAFC defends, because it's not easy. There's a lot going on. I mentioned it earlier. You're not just doing one job. He was focused on just his one guy. You're constantly in between things, and you're just going to different places, and you want to defend on that front foot. So, speed for days. But now let's say the defensive end, if you can get it to click a little bit quicker, he's going to be a real bright spot.
Well, that will get him playing time, and Steve Cherundolo and that coaching staff make it pretty clear. You've got to be an all-round winger, number 9, however it is, because that's the gig.
Yeah.
The run he also did, which was, I found it really interesting, because he broke through, and then Bouanga was at the far post. He picked his head up, and he looked at Bouanga once, and he looked at him a second time.
Yeah.
And then he took it.
Yeah.
And I was like, if he hit it across to Bouanga, very well, Bouanga could tap it in. No guarantee.
Yeah.
But how do we feel about that? I kind of like the fact he said, you know what? I just ran 80 yards. I'm taking this shot.
He really started at his own corner of the 18 and just took off full field. You know what? Strikers are selfish. It's why, I didn't score many goals in my career. People will say I don't mind it. Like, take the shot. You just did all that work. I probably would have been gassed at that point. And so I would have looked to pass so someone could tap it in.
These kids, Beita, these kids these days, they can run for days.
I don't mind it. He did a lot of work to get there. He's one-on-one with the keeper. If you put that anywhere far post, it's probably going in. And I think he really just tried to smash it and ended up going a little high and wide.
So overall, we feel pretty good about this. Obviously, not 3 points. You got to win your home games here in MLS to be very successful, but okay, right? Or
no, I think the tie, it's just because Kansas City did have some good chances as well. And so, on another night, you probably see some goals, but probably for both teams. So I think a draw is fair.
Very good. LAFC back on the road next week to Minnesota United, and we're in the month of March. Going to Minnesota in March. You don't know what you're going to get weather-wise. They already had a bad weather. I checked the weather, Beita. It's not terrible. It's in temperature in the high 30s at game time, and that could change. That's it. But traveling to Minnesota, playing there at a club that's been, this is I believe in their last 4 trips there, LAFC have gotten 4 1-1 ties, which is pretty remarkable. They lost year 1 when they played there. Obviously you were part of a couple of those teams.
Yeah, I remember that one.
This Minnesota team still waiting for their new coach, but they've got 2 away wins, and they got a point at home, and that was to Columbus, the champs.
Yeah.
So looking pretty good.
Yeah. No, they with what was going on in the offseason, with the whole coaching debacle with the interim, they essentially told him, hey, you're going to be gone in a couple months. So he's like, all right, well, I'm going to leave now then.
He's at USL now. He went,
yeah. He's like, I'd rather just get my next chapter started. Can't blame him. I thought they were going to be off to a rough start. And they're actually doing really well. They've got some good players. I've spoken to Robin Fraser a few times, and he was one of the final candidates for that one. And
they've also, by the way, they've done it without Reynoso, so they've had some young players and all. So this has been really unexpected.
Yeah, but they've sometimes it's funny when things like that happen as a group. You're kind of like, you know what? Everyone expects us to lose. No one's giving us a chance, and it almost brings you a little bit tighter, and you fight for each other a little bit harder. And I feel like that's what's going on right now, those results. So let's see once the coach implements his style he wants to play, if they continue. But right now, you got to give it to them. They're putting an effort out there, and they're getting some results.
Yeah, that's a big game now. You look at the calendar, LAFC at Minnesota is big because Minnesota's near the top of the West. LAFC's not, but with a very high ceiling, and we'll see where it goes. So there you go. Saturday, check your listings. It'll be on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV in English and Espanol. Check it all out. Are you ready for the next segment here? We have some great big theme music. Do we have theme? No, we don't have theme music. I'm being told. No theme music. Black and Gold Rewind with Beita. Okay, just not the Beita part. Black and Gold Rewind. But has that got a good ring to it?
I love it. Black and Gold Rewind. That's good.
Black and Gold Rewind. Tell us what you think in the comments here on wherever you're enjoying this podcast in audio form or on YouTube. Leave us a comment. What do you think about Black and Gold Rewind? We're both very high on it. So if you want that to sway your opinion. This week, we are going to look back at the day. It was October. Let me get the date right. October the 6th, 2019. LAFC, Colorado Rapids. Carlos Vela looking to break the goal scoring record. He not only did he break it, but he set a new one by getting a hat trick. Yeah. So much at stake on this day, Beita. Take us back, because not only was the Vela scoring record, but all the other elements that would help you in the postseason were also on the line. Going to BMO Stadium in that day, what was that like, knowing that you might be seeing history, but also seeing a huge moment for the club in helping their playoff position?
Yeah, well, there were a couple factors into that game. I mentioned Robin Fraser earlier, but he had just taken over for the Rapids. And when he did, they were kind of on a roll, and they needed to win that last game to make the playoffs. So we knew that. We knew it wasn't going to be an easy team that's not in the playoffs. We knew Carlos needed a goal or two to break the record. And obviously, when that happens, everyone's just trying to feed him the ball. Thankfully, Carlos is Carlos. His first one was an unreal left-footed banger up top. And then the second one was like a bike. So then the record was there. But then I believe we were also going for the points record. We had already clinched the Porter Shield, so we had the 1 seed taken care of, no problem. But I think we were going for the MLS regular season points record as well. So there were
exactly. Yep.
That we were kind of looking forward to. Obviously, you love ending other people's playoffs hopes, and Colorado was coming in trying to make the playoffs. But there were a few things, and man, when Carlos hit that first goal, he got it at the top, turned in, and then I felt bad for Howard. He didn't even move. He just did one of these, just watched it go off the court. Like, what are you going to do? And that was the type of year he was having. And then he gets a hat trick.
Just to confirm, 31 goals was a record by Joseph Martinez in 2018, the year prior. Yeah. So he was tied with him, 31. So one goal gets the record, and then he scored 33 and 34.
Yes. And then once he hit 34, we didn't even think about it. You were thinking, all right, just get one. He hits 30, the hat trick, gets 34. We're like, you just scored on average a goal per game, 34 goals in 30. For us, like afterwards, we were just like, we didn't even think about that. It was more so, let's just try to get him the record, give him the ball every chance. So
wait a minute. So that was at play. You're like, get the ball to Carlos, because I was calling that game, and I remember it was like, get Carlos in these positions.
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes when that happens, and you overdo it, it actually doesn't go well. But I mean, I want to say he scored somewhere in the 20th minute, maybe a little bit later, close to the 30th minute. And then all the pressure's off, and then you see him relax, and he scores a second with like a half bike, and then the third, a nice tap in where it's just Carlos, man. He makes it look effortless. He's one of those players I always say, he doesn't look fast, but somehow when he gets the ball, he becomes faster. So yeah, it was an incredible night.
Goals in the 28th, 31st, and 51st. What did Carlos say anything afterwards to you guys? What was that like in the locker room?
He's always so happy and just like, he doesn't like the attention. So he's always just like, yeah, like you guys. And that's the great thing about Carlos. He's so good and talented, but he's so humble and like, no, don't talk about me. Let's talk about you guys. Let's talk about the record. He doesn't want to talk about himself. Yeah, Carlos is one of my favorite players, DPs, teammates, friends. He's a great guy. Yeah.
That's brilliant, Beita. And I think we all got that impression, but I wanted to ask because I figured that would be the answer. Because Carlos would be like, "Hey, look at me, I'm the king. Where's my?" He's like, "Let's go, let's go to the next."
No, yeah, he's like, he's talking about the record for the team, not himself. Like that's who he is. I should go put my Carlos jersey on right now. Bring him back. Come on, Bella. Come on.
Wait, next time we'll have you back. Beita's going to be regularly on the podcast, but could you please wear that Vela jersey next time?
I will. I'll send him a text after this. I'll be like, come on, man. Are you coming back?
Yeah. Tell him Bretos was giving him some love.
Yeah, we want you here.
Beita, great stuff, man. We'll look forward to talking to you here very soon as we meander through this important MLS regular season. And as always, appreciate your know-how, and just spending some time with you is always wonderful. So thanks, Beita.
Yeah, likewise. Always good seeing you. Again, hopefully in the near future I get to see you in person. But thanks for having me on. I love being here, and hopefully many more.
We'll make it happen. Inside LAFC podcast continues. We'll head to the Performance Center to check in with the team. Welcome back to Inside LAFC podcast. We're heading out to the Black and Gold Performance Center, and it is a thrill to welcome to this podcast for the first time, Eduard Atuesta, back in LA. Edward, you're the first LAFC player to leave and come back, and for a young club, that's very important. How has it been on your return, not just to the club, but to the city and to these supporters?
Hi, my friend. No, I'm happy. I always was thinking in come back. LAFC is home for me, and I feel happy to be here. So I'm just enjoying the training sessions, the games also. So I'm happy right now.
You obviously missed Los Angeles, and you come back knowing how the city operates and how the club operates. How it sounds to me like you're very comfortable now on this return.
Yes, I'm comfortable. I'm happy because I feel like I went 1 week ago and I came back now. Everything, the people working here is almost the same people. Okay, the squad is different, but I play against Ilie, against Ilie, I play against Ryan, I play against Aaron, so I know a lot of the players. I feel good. I'm happy.
You mentioned some of the people that were here when you were playing, and our co-hosts here, Jordan Harvey and Stephen Beita Shore, are part of that. And I told Beita earlier that the nickname El Profe, which Jordan kind of said, we'll give it, it's stuck. You use it. You use that nickname to describe yourself. It's all you would put El Profe on the back of your shirt at this point, right?
No, but yeah, I remember that day. Beita and Jordan. I have a lot of memories with them, uh, and it's good. It's good that nickname. I feel good with that.
That's good. It suits you, but you have to like it to be a proper nickname. So as long as you like it, we're good.
Yeah.
Edward, when you arrived, there was me personally, I didn't think maybe you just got back with the club, and then I think people were surprised that in that first game you were in the starting 11 against Seattle, and then you've been in the starting 11 and you're getting more and more minutes. How prepared were you when you returned to play immediately? Was that a concern for you? Did you feel, obviously this is the off season, you may not be training regularly, that you were able to play and perform as it into this third game, a full 90 minutes? How's your body holding up?
I'm a little bit tired, but yes, it was hard. But I feel better that I thought in that moment. I didn't play in the preseason, so I was ready to play. I don't know, 50 minutes or a little bit more against Seattle. I played almost all the game, and I was tired at that moment. But now I'm getting the rhythm. I'm almost 100% to play, like all the time in the game. Even for the players that play and make the preseason complete. Now is the time to get the rhythm in the season. You need a little games, 2 3 games, like to get the rhythm of the competence. So I feel good. I feel good now. I think I'm better that I thought that I'll be after the games and all of that. So I feel happy for that.
You're in the rhythm. We can see it. I wanted to ask you, Edward, about your experience at Palmeiras, because we talk about that club. They are a top club, and your time there, you've improved a few things. Beita said that the passes that you used to hit the passes on the ground very well, but now you can hit the balls in the air even better. What is your time at Palmeiras? Where did you improve in your estimation after those couple years playing in Brazil?
Oh, a lot of experience. I think uh, maybe more aggressive in the 1v1s. Maybe a little bit more strong uh, in the middle. Uh, Also mentally, I think I won a lot in Brazil. I passed for a hard time with an injury, and uh, that's a big challenge. I have
We
to
got a
wait.
plane?
Yeah, an helicopter or something.
We don't know. It could be anything.
But I was talking that mentally, uh, I suffered a ACL injury, and it helped me a lot to 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 grow, like, mentally. It was a big challenge for me. It helped me to improve my physical part, and I think now I'm a more complete player. So as you say, my passes now are better. I'm trying to enjoy even the most difficult part of the training sessions, because when you are injured, you miss that. You can't do a lot of things for a long time, and you're missing that at that moment. So now I'm trying to enjoy everything.
Excellent. And you mentioned Ilya earlier, but I think that's a really important partnership, at least earlier on this season. We've seen you play at the 8, then you could drop it to 6 and move Ilya. How have you communicated with him about the responsibilities in the midfield, that both of you can play different positions and do it effectively?
No, we are just trying to to play, to help the team. Uh, it's good to have Ile to receive good balls and trying to progress. It's good to have him like passing the ball to me and Timmy. Uh, I think we can improve a lot more. Uh, but we feel very good together, and we create a lot of chances. We are trying to improve and be close always to the. I don't know if the perfection is a good word to say, but we have to be the more uh, close close to there. You know.
You want to play that perfect game one day. You're getting every time a
Yes,
little
yes,
bit
yes,
closer to
yes.
that.
And for midfielders, we we are a thinking players, you know. So we 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 want that. We want like 100% of passes completed. We want 100% of everything, uh, because for us is a big part of our game.
You have to be good at that. You got to be good at the passing to be a good
Yeah,
midfielder. And
yeah.
so far, so good. I'm curious. Since you left and came back, I know it's only been a few games, but how have you seen the league? How have you seen what's impressed you about MLS in 2024 that may have been different in MLS in 2021?
No, MLS is a difficult league. The intensity is you have to run. Physically you have to be good. You have to be 100%, because if not, you at the 20-25 minutes you are done. uh, and uh, year year past year is more difficult. You can see that less time to to take the decisions. Uh, uh, for example, for a team that always compete to win titles, is more difficult every year, because all the teams, I'm sure, are looking the videos of the past season and the 2 years ago season, trying to play against us, you know. And it's difficult because they are preparing to beat you, and you have to to maintain the top of the mountain. And when you have to keep your position on top, is difficult. Every year is more difficult. So we are trying to keep that position there, uh, for the third year.
It's a high standard, Edward.
Yes, a lot.
Putting that playera, that shirt of LAFC, is a responsibility. That's great to hear, because we know in MLS it's about all the clubs are kind of in the same pool. But from your perspective, and ours as well, LAFC over these years that you've been here, has been a cut above. They should be a cut above.
Imagine, season 7, 2 finals of the league, 2 finals of Conca Champions, uh, in 6 years. That's so difficult. It's difficult for all teams that has, I don't know, 20 years like growing. Imagine for a team that is just 7 years like of history. It's so hard. It's so difficult to get that objective, like check. We are good. It's a good team. We have to keep the history of the team like there, like on top, and keep writing pages and pages of history for the team. We have to do that.
That's incredible to hear, Edward, and just your attention and how much you care about this club and how you want to be part of building it. When you were in Brazil, how much attention were you paying to LAFC? Would you keep up with the results? I mean, it's your former club and you kept it, and obviously you had a chance to return and you returned. But how much attention did you pay to LAFC and MLS when you were in Brazil?
No, I was trying to watch every game. Some games difficult because in Sao Paulo is 5 hours ahead. So for the late games here, it's impossible to me.
You got to go to bed. You got to get some sleep.
Yes, no. But I was trying to watch every game, every game. LAFC, I think, always was and is a good team to see. It's fun, and I always try to watch.
When you were here before, Bob Bradley was your coach. How's it been with Steve Cherundolo? It seems like he already has a lot of faith in you, and you feel comfortable. Would that be safe to say?
Yes, Steve is very good. He's very good. He and I'm happy to work with him because I really love LAFC. So he won the first league for the team. So I respect that. I was so happy at that moment, and I'm happy to work with him because of that at the first thing, but also because you can learn a lot of them, and I'm trying to. It's just a little bit of time. My time here is little right now, but I'm trying to learn as much as possible and as quick as possible also to from him, and also Mark, Ante. I'm trying to get a lot of information.
Well, I know they feel very confident in passing that on and giving you that responsibility. We've seen it in the games thus far. Curious, when they approached you about the idea of coming to LAFC? How did you hear that news? And obviously, what was your response? I imagine pretty favorable, but this happened. It seemed like it happened quickly. You found out Palmeiras may be able to loan to you. And how were those conversations with LAFC at that time?
I remember maybe it could start in the CONCACAF Champions final against Leon, because when we lose that game, I remember sent a message, a text message, talking about like congrats, so difficult to be there. To John, the text was to John, and I told him that I congrats, and in the future I'll be there to win that title for the team. But at that moment, I didn't know that it was so quick, you know. But no, after that, they know, John and the staff know that I always be open to come back to LA. So they told me, and I say yes.
You planted the seed, Edward, with your text. Is that you sent the text ago? That may have started the.
Yeah. But at that moment, I just was thinking on. Bro, I remember when I lost against Tigres, and it was sad for me. Now against Leon, I feel like, bro, I need to come back one day and win that title, because that title, it'll be special for everyone in LAFC.
That is brilliant, and I hope I'm going to revisit this when we think about the third CONCACAF Champions Cup final, and you're there on the. I'm dreaming this big picture, Edward, and you're there, and then they finally get to lift the trophy. This is very exciting. I'm sure the fans are going to be pumped to hear that. Edward, I'm going to ask you, Saturday against Minnesota, you will play your 100th game for LAFC. You will be the 6th player in club history to do that. What does that mean to you to hit that number for a club?
Fun. I didn't know that. Oh, it's special. It's special for me. Like I say before, when I arrived here, I grew up with LAFC, like together, you know, like, and it's special for me. Special, very special.
Oh.
Maybe I want to. I expect to play 300, 400 games here. But it's nice to know that I'll be play my 100 game here.
Well, it was very special for me to tell you this and to see that reaction. So I'm so thrilled that it can make this game on Saturday even more special. Do you think you could name the 5 players that have played 100 games before you?
Let's try. Let's try. Carlos, for sure.
Yes.
Latif.
That's 1 and 2. Carlos 1, Latif 2.
Murillo.
Murillo, no.
No.
Uruguayo.
Diego's
3.
Diego, okay.
And
Diego.
The other ones you didn't play a lot with, but they're also South American. They're from the same country. They're 4 and 5.
¿Quién? Who? Rayito?
No, los ecuatorianos. Palacios y Fuentes.
Palacios y Cifuentes.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will tell this. You get 100. If you get 105 games, you'll be 3rd behind Vela and Latif.
Oh, wow.
So there you go. Something to think about.
Let's do it.
Let's get to 300. You said it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's pass Carlos.
Maybe.
Brilliant.
Carlitos, how many games has Carlitos?
Okay, he has 152. Latif has 145.
Wow, Latif is really.
He's up there.
Let's get
You'll probably have to be 2 more seasons, maybe 2.5 seasons to catch him, but it's possible. You're still young.
It's possible.
Edward, I can't tell you how great it is to chat with you and how wonderful. And I speak on behalf of all the supporters because I was at the Coachella Invitational when they found out that you were coming. There were Atuesta jerseys. People were so thrilled. And just to hear you and see you is really important. So thank you. And thank you for joining us here on Inside LAFC podcast.
No, thank you, my friend. Thank you, always.
We got Edward Atuesta, and he's going to be going for games 150, 200 in the future. We will see, but appreciate everyone tuning in. Thanks to Edward. Thanks to Beita. We'll be back again next week for more Inside LAFC podcast. Remember to rate, review, download, subscribe, tell a friend. We'll see you then.